There's one secret in Area 51 that no insider has ever dared to explain. Not a rumor, not speculation, but something documented and erased. On June 14, 1989, a maintenance tech walked into a room that shouldn't exist. 30 minutes later, he emerged speaking a language no human could identify. You'll have good luck today if you like and subscribe, and you'll understand why by the end of this video. The strange part? What he held in his hand was a scrap of paper that defies every rule of the base's security. And what he wrote on it is the reason Area 51 still whispers in secrecy today. The year is 1989. The Cold War is winding down, but Area 51 secrets are tighter than ever. Personnel rotate quietly. Cameras monitor every hallway. Even veteran engineers avoid certain sections after dark. At the center is Leonard Hale, 42, maintenance technician. Quiet, precise, ordinary on paper. Assigned to cooling systems, conduits, and power lines, nothing classified. Three weeks before the incident, Hale is suddenly reassigned. Sublevel J. Unmarked section. No briefing. No escort. Only a signature page half redacted. Researchers still argue why someone so low clearance was sent there. Air Force calls it a clerical error. Former staff call it impossible. 30 minutes before Hale enters the forbidden room. A radiation sensor near sublevel J spikes. Logs show no cause. No alarm. The sensor's data feed is cut the next day. Now we step closer to the truth. Chapter 1. The shift no one requested. But then everything shifted. On June the 14th, 11:42 p.m. Hale receives a call on an unlisted internal line. Not from his supervisor. Not from command. From a mysterious extension, J3C. The voice is flat, unfamiliar. It tells him to report to sublevel J immediately. Alone. No toolkit. No explanation. Hale hesitates. Later, he tells a coworker, it didn't sound human. More like someone reading words they didn't understand. He takes the service elevator down. Cameras in the corridor usually capture everything. But the recording from that night is corrupted. Not scrambled. Corrupted, as if the signal itself warped. Three frames remain on the tape. Hale's shadow stretches at an impossible angle, not matching any overhead lights. Engineers call it geometrically impossible. He reaches a door marked with a painted blue square. No label. No lock. Workers swear it never existed before. He steps in. Air is warm. Yet his breath fogs instantly. 3 minutes. 6 minutes. 10 minutes. At 12:13 a.m., the door opens. Hale emerges slowly, disoriented. He tries to speak. The words aren't English. Not recognizable. Soft, rhythmic, almost chant-like. The officer hits the silent alarm. 2 guards rush in. Hale repeats 3 impossible syllables. But the strangest part isn't what he says. It's what he carries in his left hand. Chapter 2. The Scrap That Shouldn't Exist. However, what followed broke every assumption. When guards approach Hale, they notice he is clutching something. Not a clipboard. Not an official form. A small, folded scrap of yellow maintenance paper. This is impossible. Sublevel J is a high-clearance area. No loose paper, pens, or personal items are permitted. Yet here he is, gripping one as if it were a lifeline. The guards pry it from his fist. The paper is damp with sweat, creased from extreme pressure. On its surface are 6 straight lines, intersecting at angles that defy conventional measurement. No curves, no numbers, perfectly precise, like something traced rather than drawn. A supervisor scans the scrap with a handheld reader. The device emits static, a reaction it should never make. Ink shouldn't register on the scanner. Engineers later call it a material anomaly. Hale refuses to speak, only murmuring the same rhythmic syllables from sublevel J. Medics note his eyes are unfocused. His hands shake, but he continues pressing invisible lines into his palm. The scrap is catalogued under Object J3-19A. Years later, a whistleblower confirms that 19 are links to a classified 1962 Nestral file, an experiment erased from public record. The same experiment reportedly involved human subjects, experiencing time displacement, inside sealed chambers. Researchers have never connected these events, until now. The supervisor escorts the scrap to the lab for analysis. Within minutes, the base experiences a 12-second power dip. Only sublevel J loses lighting. No maintenance scheduled. No grid fault. No explanation. When the lights return, the blue square room is gone. Steel panel welded in place. No markings. No door. As if it never existed. Hale remains in the medical wing, now mute. He refuses water and sleep. Instead, he traces the 6-line symbol over and over on hospital sheets. A guard reviews the corrupted sublevel J footage and notices a subtle, impossible flicker. A distortion, like heat haze, drifts across the wall and snaps into a vertical line before vanishing. At 12:26 a.m., the radiation sensor spike from weeks earlier is repeated, an exact duplicate, even down to the nanosecond. Command logs confirm no machinery, no testing, nothing could have caused it. And then, Hale writes something new on the scrap, a 7th line, tilted. Added after leaving the forbidden room. Engineers call it chronologically impossible. Hale stares at the line. No one can interpret it, and no one dares ask what it means. Chapter 3. The symbol out of place. No one expected what came next. The 6-line symbol on Hale scrap is rushed to Archive Room 4B, one of the most restricted areas in Area 51. The room is perpetually cold. Technicians claim it feels even colder when someone handles objects tied to sublevel J. Ellen Varick, archivist and meticulous observer. Examines the scrap under magnification. The lines are not random. They match fragments of a diagram from Project Nestral, a top-secret 1962. program officially cancelled and erased from public records. But Nestrel wasn't about aircraft, or propulsion, or weapons. It experimented with human perception of time in isolated, controlled environments. Minutes stretched. Memory failed. Some subjects reported lost time they could never recall. Varik cross-references the symbol with old microfilm reels. She finds a degraded frame labeled N12C. The same 6-line pattern is etched on the corner of a chamber wall. That chamber was supposedly destroyed in 1964. Yet Hale replicated it in 1989, in a room that officially does not exist. In the microfilm margin, a handwritten note appears. Subject heard voices inside silent chamber. Voices spoke in pre-speech cadence. The same rhythmic tone Hale chanted after leaving sublevel J. Varik prints the frame and submits it to command. Minutes later, 2 men in unmarked badges appear. No introduction. No explanation. They escort her out, forbidding any further research that shift. Meanwhile, Hale deteriorates. He refuses sleep, refuses water. He continues tracing 6 lines on every surface. Bed sheets, table edges, even air, according to medics' notes. At 1:04 a.m., something unnerves the staff. The interior clock in Hale's room resets to midnight. Not the building clocks, not the backups, only the clock nearest his bed. It's as if time restarted in that corner of the room. Command decides Hale must be relocated. A containment unit is prepared. Guards gather outside. But when they open the medical wing, Hale is gone. The bed is warm. Sheets disturbed. No forced exit. Hallway cameras show nothing but static for 8 minutes. The last recording captures a low, rising hum, like machinery powering on in a place that doesn't exist, and a shadow moves across the wall. Not Hale's. The base remains silent, but something in sublevel J knows what happened, and it is waiting. Chapter 4. The 8 minutes that vanished, but the investigation veered into the impossible. Security sweeps the medical wing. Vents, maintenance ducts, ceiling panels. Nothing. No prints. No fibers. Not even a single wrinkle on the floor mats. The only anomaly, the clock. Still blinking midnight. Refusing to sync with any base network. Even technicians cannot explain it. At 1:17 a.m., Command orders a total facility lockdown. Every gate sealed. Every badge scanned. Every vehicle checked. If Hale left, it should show in the system. It doesn't. Instead, they find something stranger. On sublevel J's main server, a tiny unauthorized data packet was transmitted during the 8 minutes. Hale disappeared. Camera glide. The file is only 412 kilobytes. No readable text. Just intervals of pulses, short gaps, long gaps, repeating in precise ratios. A linguist is called to analyze it. She listens to the audio representation. Her conclusion chills the room. It's not language. It's timing. Someone transmitted a sequence of durations. Three long pulses. 2 short. 3 long again. The pattern mirrors Hale's chant after leaving sublevel J. Here's your forbidden detail. The packet header includes a reference tag used only once before, during a 1962 Nestrel chamber test. In that experiment, a subject reported losing 8 minutes of awareness, exactly the duration. Hail disappeared. A guard reviewing corrupted footage notices a subtle flicker across the wall. A distortion, like heat rising, drifts upward, then snaps into a perfect vertical line, a line where no door or panel exists. At 1:39 a.m., a medic smells something lingering near Hale's empty bed. Not chemical, not metallic, warm air from a sealed space opening. And beneath the pillow, a smear of graphite. A single, sharp line, matching the angle of one of the 6 lines on Hale's scrap. The supervisor reviewing these anomalies whispers, "He didn't leave the room. He wasn't just gone. Something else moved through him, or left him behind." "8 minutes. Gone." Nothing explains it, and the base continues as if nothing occurred. Chapter 5. The return that shouldn't be possible. But the story took a turn no protocol could cover. At 2:06 a.m., a motion sensor triggers near service corridor J7, a hallway sealed since the 1970s. No patrol routes. No authorized personnel. Yet the system shows a single slow, deliberate movement. Security teams respond immediately. The door to J7 is coated in dust, untouched for decades. The floor dust, wiped clean. A set of footprints appears, bare feet, evenly spaced. Stride measured and deliberate. Not Hale's. Not human. The trail leads to an old maintenance hatch. Rusty padlock. Hinges frozen for years. The lock hangs open. Inside the hatch, a fresh fingerprint. Analysis confirms it is Hale's. But the ridges are inverted, mirrored, as if pressed from inside the metal itself. Technicians call it impossible. On the hatch wall, the 6-line symbol is scratched in dust, but a 7th line appears beneath it, tilted, sharp, freshly etched. The symbol evolved. As the team documents, radios across the base crackle. All channels. A whisper. 3 syllables. The same rhythmic chant Hale repeated earlier. Security freezes. Radios go silent. One guard notices a shadow along the corridor wall. Tall. Still. Vertical. No one is there. The shadow tilts its head slightly before vanishing under the lights. The commander orders retreat. As the team exits, the corridor behind them goes dark. Not a power failure. Not a blackout. A door of darkness itself seems to descend, swallowing the hallway. The hatch remains open, the 7th line etched into dust, and somewhere beyond human comprehension, the rhythmic chant continues. Chapter 6. The room that never existed. No one expected what came next. The following morning, a senior engineer is sent to inspect sublevel J, the blue square room. The room Hale entered. It does not exist. Not a door. Not a seam. Not a single panel. Only a blank stretch of concrete. The engineer checks floor plans, historical schematics, maintenance logs, every reference to J3C, sublevel J, and the restricted section, gone. Purged. Erased. In an overlooked corner, faint scratches appear in the concrete. 6 intersecting lines, the same symbol Hale drew. Below it, the 7th line, tilted, appears again. Freshly etched. Impossible, as the concrete had been sealed and painted weeks earlier. Investigators attempt to reconstruct Hale's path using blueprints, elevator logs, and security footage. Nothing explains his entry. Nothing explains the scrap he carried out. Nothing explains the inverted fingerprint. The rhythmic pulse transmission, or the seventh line's appearance. A final anomaly. A radiation sensor that spiked weeks earlier now records intermittent surges. Precisely at 3:13 a.m., every night since the incident. No source. No equipment. No explanation. At 3:19 a.m., a technician reports hearing the rhythmic chant again over the intercom. No speaker. No origin. Just the same pulse pattern. 3 long, 2 short, 3 long. The scratches remain. The lines evolve. And in the shadows of sublevel J, the base feels observed. As if the room Hale entered was never physical. As if the secret it held refuses to be fully seen. And as if something, not human, had returned. A detective question. Pause. Soft hum. 3 theories emerge from the impossible events surrounding Hale and sublevel J. Hale suffered a severe psychological episode triggered by high-security isolation, hallucinations, memory lapses. The 6-line symbol is a product of panic and subconscious mimicry. The 8 minutes? Simply a perception gap, explained by sensory deprivation and stress. Sublevel J exists partially out of phase with reality. Time and space warp inside. Hale experienced a temporal anomaly. The inverted fingerprints, pulse transmission, and 7th line are traces of temporal interference. The room itself may not be fully present in our dimension. Hale interacted with, or became a conduit for, something already present inside. Area 51. Not human. Not fully material. The repeated pulses and rhythmic chants were communication, or instructions beyond comprehension. Something alive, ancient, and eternal. If you were the detective, which clue would you trust, and which would you ignore? The corrupted footage and impossible shadow? The pulse sequence in the data packet? Or the 7th line appearing on the scrap and in the hatch? Every choice leads deeper into the unknown. Every ignored clue may be your last. What haunts Area 51 is not fences, alarms, or missing men. It is the fragility of human perception. The realization that reality itself can bend around places we are never meant to map. Hale's story is a whisper. Curiosity can open doors. Doors we may never fully close. We like to measure the world with clocks and blueprints. But sometimes, the world measures us. Minutes vanish. Symbols appear. Voices speak in rhythms older than words. Some mysteries are eternal. Some secrets refuse witnesses. And some rooms should never exist. Hale never spoke clearly again. The room he entered never appears on any map. The 6th symbol evolved into the 7th line, appearing quietly in corners no one watches. Some secrets refuse witnesses. Some shadows linger longer than the people who see them. Thank you for watching until the end. If this mystery fascinated you, subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next journey. The truth doesn't sleep. Neither should your curiosity.